Good morning, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I'm your ever Shorty, and yeah, it's been a while, but there's very few new releases last week. Genuinely, that just scraped to a previous week to even find an extra one to do. But we do have a lot of the review this week, and we're starting with the Ultimate Black Panther issue 1. Now, I have already reviewed and really enjoyed Ultimate Spider-Man, which is the first Ultimate comic I've actually really got into and thoroughly enjoyed. So I was hyped a little bit for this one, but then it was Brian Hill, and I don't want you to think I'm going to just absolutely lay on criticism for Brian Hill. He is a fantastic writer in his own way, but what he generally does is promise a lot of stuff to me and doesn't quite deliver, and it's frustrating because I reviewed a few of his things where issue 1 has been absolutely spectacular. I can't wait to see what happens next, and then by the end of it I'm like, oh, that was cool, I guess. Never bad. Never to the point where I'm like, damn, I can't believe I wasted my money on this. Never to the point where I'm disappointed people keep paying him to write comic books. Because I'm always thinking, maybe this will be the time. Maybe he'll actually elevate up a little bit more and give me something which is exactly what I wanted. Or even not what I wanted, just something that surprises me, something that amazes me, something that makes me go, wow, and I want to tell people about it. And we'll get to how that plays out in a second, but we're going to talk about the artwork first before we get into it. I have forgotten the name of the artist. You have to bear with me a second because, like an awful lot of Marvel comic books, they do not put the title card in a convenient place right at the front. We have Stefano Caselli, who I've seen before, and he's a good artist. He has a knack for incredibly crisp lines, and in this case, it absolutely works. We are looking at Afrofuturism here, and rather than the cyberpunk dinginess, well, a little bit dingy, we have in the Black Panther ongoing. This is full high-tech sci-fi kind of stuff, so what you want is clean, sharp lines. What you also do want is the kind of colouring which I usually don't enjoy, which is the really overproduced, immaculately crisp colouring. At this point, we've got David Curiel taking care of that, and I don't like this kind of colouring, but it's hard to argue that it works for this comic book. Again, when you want this immaculately crisp future of this isolationist state with the most high-tech stuff in the world, you want it to shine. And it does, but it is also lacking a little bit of heart, it is a little bit too pure, and I bounce off it a little bit. Now, obviously people out there like this kind of art style. I can't agree on the reason why Marvel Comics would keep doing it. They literally do this stuff to make money. But for me, it feels like there's just not enough love put into it. It feels like I don't want to take too much away from what Curiel has done, but it looks a little bit like it could be computerized rather than somebody actually caring about every single thing that happens. But what is fantastic is some of the framing and some of the layouts. There's some really beautiful POV shots here where they come at you from slightly odd angles, slightly tilted, showing you some different light and shade. Really good looking comic book. Just because I don't like that style coloring, not you take anything away from that that's negative. On to the story now, and Hill actually does a very good issue 1 here. Unfortunately, that means most of what he's doing is setup. Now, this is not a bad thing. I can issue 1 with an ongoing, you can spend a little bit of time doing this. You can introduce some concepts to us. We are talking about an isolationist superpower, and isolationism is bad. And that's effectively the point we get right here. There is stuff going on in the world, and T'Challa needs to decide if he is going to do something about it, or if he's going to stay behind his magic sci-fi wall. This is not groundbreaking in any way, but they're introducing stuff which makes it could be an interesting little take on it. We do get Killmonger turn up in this one, which is always good to see. And I feel like because T'Challa is really leaning into the isolationist thing, he is already king, even though his father's still alive. So he's already been making these choices. He's already married and has a queen. His sister is set up, and everything seems to be flowing the way he wants it to, and seems to want it to be isolationist. So I like the fact that Killmonger might have some chance to be nuanced rather than just a bad guy. He's also appears to be hanging out with Storm, which is pretty cool. And we have some bad guys coming in as like a Moon Knight thing. I don't know if there's a specific Moon Knight that's on page yet, but something gets referenced, and Khonshu turns up as well. Disappointingly, I don't like the way Shuri is written, and it kind of fits in with my slight gripe about the writing. And like the colouring, it's hard to complain about it because we are dealing with royals here, or at least the royal court. They do not talk the same way that most people would. They make declamatory statements. They use weird, correct English, but minor quibble, and I know this is like a very minor thing, but at no point in this comic book does it do the comic book thing of having what people are saying in brackets and translated from Wakandan or anything like that. So the assumption is they're all speaking English, or the assumption is they're all speaking Wakandan, but then there is bits when they're in other African countries, and there's no reference to difference in languages. I'm not sure I'm a fan of that, but I can live with it. It's not the end of the world. But yeah, Shuri doesn't come across in the same way I've gotten used to it. And this is not a criticism just because I like characters a certain way. It doesn't mean that's the right way of doing it. It doesn't mean it's a bad way of doing it. But the writing, the scripting does feel that kind of pomposity layered throughout it. And again, it's not what I look for in comic book writing. But it's not bad. It's done exactly what Brian Hill does. He set me up for something which could be fantastic here, and I'm totally going to carry on reading it. That's it for me for now. I've got more reviews coming on this week. Make sure you do the like, subscribe, follow, whatever you need to do to make sure you don't miss anything. Until I see you all again, look after each other, everyone. Stay safe. Bye!